What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show.
Do you think that the coverage of Scientology in general is weird? And let me clarify what I mean there. It seems like it's used for the clicks of like the regular gossip page 6 stories, like when someone might leave or not. But it is allowed by the press to operate without much coverage when you have some of these famous people in the middle of it. You have the cult angle, you have the dead cult leader angle, you have the 4'10" guy running this and telling everyone to get lost, or 155 centimeter, let's give them everyone the counts.
4'13",
whatever it is. Like, there is so much here, there's so much juice here, and yet it seems to be just kind of the only thing they report on is like, well, are they leaving or aren't they?
I will say that the press coverage has actually improved. I really do think it's gotten better. There was famously an amazing Time magazine cover story that came out in May 1991, which called Scientology the global cult of greed or something. And Scientology sued for $400 million against Time magazine. Time eventually won that lawsuit, but they spent millions fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
That created a chilling effect throughout the 90s that made it really difficult for people to do stories. People still did stories. I still did stories. Washington Post did great stories, but it definitely produced a chilling effect. Tom Cruise's antics, though, in 2005 really changed things. It started to open things up again. But even then, the coverage was, like you said, it's kind of goofy. It's focused on celebrities. I would say, though, that the last 10 years, the coverage has gotten much better thanks to people like Leah Remini, for example, who's really focusing on the things that matter. Alex Gibney in his movie, which I was very fortunate to be in, Going Clear. I think publications are more interested in the story about the actual abuses that are going on, what people go through that go in and come out. So I would say that the coverage is better, but we still do get these very silly stories about the celebrities, about Xenu and that kind of thing. And I understand why people write about that kind of stuff. But I do think that the more important subject does get covered.
I just can't believe that the probable criminal elements within it are not covered in bombshell stories that lead to arrests. I mean, you saw it with the Miami Herald's, the reason that like Epstein got arrested because they did a story on it. They went through and dug it. I don't know why that hasn't happened yet here.
It's very, we get asked that a lot. Where's the FBI? Where's the Department of Justice? And what law enforcement will often say is that, remember we were talking earlier about these Scientologists, they come out, it takes them 10 years just to recover. And so by the time they speak up and say, you know what, I was extorted, I was ripped off, I was abused, it's too late for law enforcement to do something. So it's been difficult to get that information. Also, I think the fact that there's only 20,000 active Scientologists in the world has something to do with it. It's like, the law enforcement unfortunately may feel that it's just not as big of a problem as that they want to do. Obviously, the thing that everyone would like to see is the IRS to revisit this idea that it is a legitimate religious organization that deserves tax exemption. When is the IRS going to take another look at that? And Mike Rinder once explained something to me. I think it makes a lot of sense. He says, yeah, of course, there's lots of evidence that Scientology is in violation of its agreements, and that if the IRS reviewed this, that there would be lots of reasons to take that tax exempt status away. Right. The problem is you're that mid-level manager in whatever agency you're in, and you're going to recommend to your boss that we do this, we open the investigation, we do what we need to do. You have to make a decision. Are you ready for that to be the rest of your career? Because Scientology's money and its attorneys are going to fight you every step of the way. And it's not that there's not evidence of wrongdoing. It's not that they don't, that law enforcement isn't interested, because I've talked to people. They are very interested. It's that they know Scientology's reputation for fighting every step of the way. And I think it's what keeps governments from doing what they should do.
Yeah, but they're like a, whatever it is, I forget the number Mark had. Maybe it's like $2 billion, might have been less than that. But $2 billion organization, that's obviously a lot of money to you and me. But when has it ever stopped the government from using taxpayer money to fucking spend on shit? Like, okay, so they're gonna spend like $500 million to have every agency involved. Like, all right, go ahead. As a taxpayer, I'm like, knock yourself the fuck out, boys.
I know. You're right. You're absolutely right. And they should and they could. But I think let's look at history with IRS. They had tax exempt status in the 60s. They lost it in 1967 because the IRS decided that too much money was going to L. Ron Hubbard. They didn't have tax exempt status for the next 25 years, but Scientology still didn't pay a penny in taxes. That bill was to the point Marty Rathman once said they had $1 billion tax bill that they were never going to be able to pay. The only option for them was to attack the IRS until the IRS cried uncle. Now, what other organization in the world would think that that's the way to go? To literally, I mean, everyone thinks of the IRS as a bully. Scientology outbullied them.
That's crazy.
Scientology just like investigated individual IRS people, sued them with countless lawsuits until finally in 1991, IRS said, cried uncle, and they did a 2-year process, a formal process, and gave them tax exempt status in October 1993. And it's very clear. The only reason the IRS did that was they wanted Scientology to stop all the harassment. Now, who in the IRS today is ready to go through that again? You know? That's the problem.
I don't know, maybe one of the 86,000 agents, armed agents they hired? Like someone in there. I get it. Like they're torturing these people in their personal lives. I understand that sucks. But like you're the government.
I know.
Take the head off the snake. They won't be doing shit to you.
I know.
Like if they came up with criminal cases against the top 10, 15 people at Scientology, it's over. There's no, they wouldn't even know how to harass you. I mean, in my opinion, from the outside, tell me if I'm wrong, but like they wouldn't even know how to harass you at that point. All the people who told them what to do forever are gone.
I absolutely agree. And it's so frustrating that the government hasn't done something. And I mean, look at what's going on in the courts now. People can't even sue them. Various ex-Scientologists have brought lawsuits against Scientology in the last 15 years. And Scientology has this incredible strategy that is working for them. Whenever you do anything in Scientology, whether you go to work for them, whether you get some auditing, whether you go through their detox thing, you have to sign a waiver. And in that waiver, there's some language that says you promise never to sue us. And if you do have a problem, you will go through our internal justice system.
Oh, they have an internal system
which they call religious arbitration. And so, people sign, oh yeah, whatever. Let me get in the sauna. Oh yeah, I'll sign that. Whatever. Give me the e-meter. So years later, they realize they've been abused. They come out and they say, I'm going to sue Scientology. And the first thing Scientology does, they go into court and say, no. You signed this agreement. And you have to understand the way arbitration is supposed to work is let's say that the guy who made your roof did a bad job, or so the guy that worked in your teeth did a bad job, and you decide to sue them. They may bring out a thing saying, no, you signed an arbitration thing. Okay, fine. So you go to independent arbitration, which means some retired judge gets brought in, both sides get heard, and you're maybe just as likely to win there as you would in a lawsuit. The reason why the company wants it to be arbitration, though, is that it's done out of the public eye. Okay. Well, that's not what Scientology is doing. Scientology has it completely rigged, where the people who are on the arbitrating panel have to be Scientologists in good standing. Oh, you're never going to get a fair hearing. Exactly. And yet these judges keep signing off on it. Judges keep kicking these lawsuits out of court saying, you signed a contract. Contract's a contract. So not only is it frustrating that the government, through its law enforcement agencies, isn't doing something about Scientology's abuses, these ex-Scientologists are having the hardest time suing Scientology over it. I just don't think American courts, American government are set up to deal with an organization that deals in nothing but bad faith.
It's difficult, though, when the organizations, and again, you have a point, and I hear it. I just come back to it. Like, it's difficult to take that when the organization is as small in numbers as it is. Like, if you're talking about, like, the Vatican, all right, yeah, you got it. You're not going to stop that. But, like, we're talking about, I
have wondered if the government is basically waiting for it to shrink to a certain level and then move in because then it'll be a little easier to knock over. I've thought about that. I've wondered about that.
Well, if they wait long enough, someone taller than Miscavige will be there. It'll be harder to knock over, you know? Really tough.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.